Hello, I'm Dragos, and in this video we're going to take a look to a new OpenClaw alternative. This one is called OpenFang, and it is new, it is written in Rust. It has some interesting things that you should check, and we're going to discuss this. This is their repository, OpenFang. It is in Rust, and right now it has more than 8,000 K stars, and it is updating constantly. And yeah, I have in here the details, and lately there were a lot of alternatives to OpenClaw that appeared. I have in here a list with all of them. You have the nanobot, nanoclaw, zeroclaw, nullclaw, and right now you have the OpenFang. I already created a couple of videos. I will add them into the description about the others. The good thing on this one is the fact that it is configurable and you can install it easily. So basically, to install it, you just run this, and you're just going to run OpenFang init with start, and this will gonna prompt you to configure the things. It can be installed also on Windows. I have a VPS where we are going to install it. The difference is here that this has hands. This is the skills that the OpenFang is using. Right now it has 7 hands, and you can create your own hands. Basically it has a clip one that it will create an short from a video and other things like a researcher, Twitter, browser hand, and you can activate the hands with the CLI very easily with hand activate, or you can do it with their own UI. Yeah, this is the interface. In here you have the details, and you can configure this with like 40 channels. So you have the options to use Telegram, Discord, Slack, WhatsApp, Microsoft, Twitch, and so on. You have the options to configure almost any provider you want in here. You can use Olama for this. It has memory, it has everything, and it has also migration script that will help you migrate for OpenClaw, and it will configure the things for you. Another interesting fact of this is the fact that when you create this, you have also an options to have an OpenAI compatible API for this, and you can just use that to work with this. You can install skills. We're gonna see that. We're gonna see how it's working. We're gonna use Minimax to configure this. And yeah, I mean, it has a lot of details, and in here I've created a detailed article on how you can configure this and how you can install it, and how the configuration will look with GLM or Minimax, because these are some of the cheapest models out there. And yeah, it will be a shame not to use them. I'm using my own agent with Minimax or GLM. And yeah, in here you have the installation steps and the details, and the configuration is quite easy to do. I've created a detailed configuration with everything in here that we are gonna help us have the details. You can link this with Discord and so on. So basically in here you have the full configuration. In here you have the API listen that you can add to access the UI. So I've linked this to be accessible also externally, so we can see it. And you have an API key like the password that you can do, and then you can define the default model in here, like Minimax, configure the memory settings, can add the provider, the default model for agents, and Discord things. And let's go and see how we can configure everything. And basically I have a VPS in here created, and in here I have the details for the VPS. So basically you log into the VPS and you do the apt update and upgrade, and you can install it in there. If you run this we're gonna install the OpenFang, okay, like this. And right now you see that you have the OpenFang binary added, so you can just add your path in there if you want, but it's already added in here. And what we are gonna do right now, we are gonna run OpenFang with init. Okay, it has some problems basically because it doesn't see this. Let me run it like this, and right now you will enter in the configuration area. that will help you configure everything. And in here you see that you can configure the providers like this. Okay, and for this we're gonna use the default one because we're gonna rewritten everything in here. Okay, I will just select everything like this because I will not gonna use this. So we're gonna use the web dashboard for this, and right now this should be configured, and you see in here you have the ports with the details that you can check, and you have the configurations. And if you're going to check the OpenFang directory in here, and you make this thing bigger like this, you're gonna have the OpenFang in here with agents, with the binary, with data for the database and things like that, with environment variables. Basically in here you have the API key, the configuration file. So in here you see that the configuration file was created with the default API listen port, which is bind to the local host of this, so is not accessible external, the default model that we've choose. So we're gonna change the details in there. In here we have the daemon details, and you have also the environment. And right now what we are going to do, we're going to create a Minimax like this API key. I have saved it, and in here in the coding plan I will reset the API key, and I will copy the new API key. So we can go in here and add the Minimax like this. So I've added the key, the Minimax key. Next we are going to add some configuration files in here. Basically you can configure everything very easily. I have the details in here in my article with what we're going to use for this. So let's see. Okay, and these are the details. So I'll copy everything in here, and I will put a password like this. So in here you see that, for instance, right now what I've put it the API to listen on this, and to have it accessible externally, so we can access it outside this VPS with the IP address. I will put it like this with 000. In here you have the API key, so basically you can create like 67 with a strong password like this. I just want to show you. In here you have the default model that we are gonna use for this. It will be the provider Minimax, which is defined in here with the API base and the model. And Discord, I have not configured Discord right now, but you can go and configure it in here, where we are gonna use the UI to see how we can configure it also in there. Max tokens, I will not use any max token in here. I will remove also the temperature for this to have the default things of the model. And right now this thing should work, and right now we should have everything running, and we are just going to go and use the OpenFang stop. Okay, and start to see the details. And right now you see that it's running on the port. It's using this provider for the detail, and you can extend this with a lot of things. We are going to check the configuration of this, but right now, for instance, if we are going to do the if config -a to view the IP address, so it's if config -a like this, I will gonna go and check the IP address of this, which is this one, and we're going to put a new tab, and in here we're gonna put the port that we set. It will be the 4002 like this, and right now you will be prompted to enter the API key, and I will just copy the password, the strong password that I've set in here like this. And right now you will have access to the UI, and in here you see that this is the interface, and in here we have the chat. So basically you can spin up a general agent right now in here, and let's go and hit general agent, and right now this spin up the general agent for this, and you can chat with it. Like I will just type hi. In here you see that this is using an Olama, but it's not right. This is using the Minimax that we've created. And in here you see that right now we have a response from this, and if you're going to check the overview in here, you see that you have the agent with tokens, again a setup wizard that you want in here to help you configure everything. And in here you see that it will move you through the different things that you want to configure in here. Right now I have the Minimax configured, which it's running, and yeah, I mean, you can hit next. You see that you have already a general agent. You can choose between different agents like code helper, researcher, writer, and so on. And you can also spin up your own agent if you want. For this you can try it. You can configure the channel. Let me do it like this. Skip, and in here you can go and configure Discord, for instance. In Discord you just go in there and create your own bot and add the bot token in here. I have everything into the article on how you can do that. I'm gonna hit skip. Okay, go to dashboard. So yeah, right now this is it. In here you have some analytics, you have some logs with the audit trail. For this you have the sessions. So in here you see that I have 2 sessions right now, the initial one. Okay, approvals, so for permissions. Okay, in here again you have the agents, options to post a task for the agent or send a message. You have the options to create workflows with this and put steps and things like that. You have a scheduler in here where you can schedule jobs and choose the agents that will run the jobs. In here again you have the channels. You have a lot of channels, and from here also you can configure different channels. If you want to configure, for instance, Telegram, you can do that. Again, you will have the details in here on how you can configure it. You just put the bot token. If you want to use Discord, again with bot token in here, with advanced, with the default agent that can be used. In here you have the options to add skills. So in here you have the Cloud Hub skills, so you can go and just install them with one click. If you want the GitHub, for instance, like this, the skill should be installed, is already installed. So yeah, in here you see that it started and installed the skill. So OpenFang in here has the details, and in here if you have the agents. Okay, what else? So you can go and install different skills. So right now let's go and see the installed skills. You see that you have the skills that are already installed, and you can enable them, you can disable them, you can add MCP details in here. And in here you have the hands that are configured and active. So you have also, for instance, a browser hand that you can activate for it to work with the plurality browser. And you need to run these commands on your server where you have all of these details. You can add a Twitter hand, a research hand. This is the research hand. Activate research hand. Okay, hand research is activated. In here you see the status. Okay. In the settings you have the options to add keys and things like that. And if we're going to check the configuration in here, you see that basically everything gets added into this configuration file, and you have multiple options in here. Basically you have the options to add also search. You have the E2E protocol in here. So you have a lot of things that you can add in the search. So basically you can add also web search like this with Brave, Tavli, Perplexity, DuckDuckGo, which is free. So by default you can also do that. In here you have all the details for this with the workdir, where it will run. You can create sandboxes in here if you want with WASM. And yeah, I mean, it has a lot of interesting features in here, and you can go and check their details for more things in here. And right now if we're going to go and, for instance, chat, and you have the research hands that you can chat with it. Okay, latest tech news. I'll just put something like this, and basically this will trigger the web search for us, and it will go and search for the latest tech news. And in here you see that you will have the details. This will run the research hand with the tools that it is using. Of course you can work with this also in the CLI. So in here, if we are going to open something like that, you have some commands that you can run, so like OpenFang status, like this, to see the ports and active agents. Doctor, okay, it doesn't have the database right now. Skills, prompt injection warning for sysadmin. Okay, and yeah, in here you will have all the details. And what else? You can run the doctor repair for this. In here you see that you will have the Node and Python version. And yeah, this also has memory configured, but you need to enable a provider for this to work. By default it's using the Olama, but I don't have it installed in here. And for instance, let's chat it with it and ask it, for instance, let's go to chat again, like this, general, and top running processes. And in here it should not work because this needs an approval for the process list. And in approvals, in here you see that right now, if you approve this, it will work. If you don't approve the command, it will not work, which is a pretty good thing. Okay, so right now I see that it should have provided me the details, but it didn't. So yeah, in here also I have the command list that you can use. So basically you can go and run this command. So you can, for instance, check all of these details, like open hand list, and this will list all the hands that are in there. Activate, and you put the ID, like browser, for instance, if you want to activate the browser. Right now we have the researcher active, but I don't think we're gonna see it in here. What else? Hand status. Let's go and check this. Okay, let's see the help. Okay, channel setup, cron list, uninstall, to uninstall it. So basically these are the commands that are in here. So you can spin up a new coder, add GitHub integration for this. Doctor, okay, there isn't any cron right now in here. And you can configure different models to be used for different agents. And in here, if we're going to check the agents, you see that you have an architect, for instance, and each agent, it has its own TOML file. And in here you see that you choose the module, you choose the provider, for instance, tokens, temperature, and in here you have the system prompt for this. Fallback model, you can add also fallback models in here. Capabilities, file read, file list, memory, and so on. And yeah, I mean, this looks like an interesting project and an interesting alternative to OpenClaw. I mean, I've just installed it and I am using it to see if it's better than the one that I am using it right now. I have my own Windows bot created with Agno, but yeah, I mean, this looks to have an interesting thing, and it is nice that you have also this UI that you can configure and you can work with it. If you are putting this on a VPS server, I mean, you shouldn't have any problems. Just allow access from the IP address through the firewall. Logs again in here, we should have some details. So you see, you have the audit with the things that were done. Again, you can configure everything in the UI with commands, and you can chat directly in here, or you can configure it with Telegram and other providers. in there. And yeah, I mean, this is OpenFang, and yeah, this is a basic overview of this. The only way to see if it's the right tool for you is to go and install it and test it. You've seen that it's not that complicated to install, and you can just run it. You have the option also to run it in Docker if you want. I've created the details in here to help you use Docker for this. Also, I've seen the start is not spinning up the daemon service, so you can create your own daemon service if you want, like this. I put the details in here. Basically, you are creating only a file like this, and then you are just using this to enable it and start it. In here you have the location, so in case you want to have this running into the background all the time, you can do this. And for Docker, in here you have the options to pull the image, run it with a config file that you are creating, and yeah, and use it in Docker to have everything more secured. And in case you have something to say about OpenFang, just drop a comment and let us know your opinion. And thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.